Hi, welcome to Make Gains, the channel where we break down money, mindset, and moves you can make to level up your life. If you're about making gains financially, personally, or anywhere in between, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to be talking about car buying mistakes. Let's get into it.
What is my worst financial decision in my 20s? Well, back in 2019, I decided to lease a brand new Lexus. Looking back at it now, I'm just like, what the fuck was I thinking? And to make it worse, I decided to buy it after the lease had ended. Let me explain why it was such a terrible idea. So here's the thing. Back then, I was naive, I was young, I thought leasing was the perfect solution for me to be able to drive a nice car. The monthly payments were a lot lower than if I had bought the car. I don't know, I just felt like I was treating myself and I thought like, hey, I got money now. I can definitely afford this. I didn't realize that leasing was the most expensive way to drive a car. When you lease, you're paying to borrow the car. The end of the lease, you pay thousands of dollars and you still don't own the car. On top of that, there are mileage limits, there are fees for wear and tear. It's just a lot. And of course, I didn't think about it at the time. I was just really excited to drive a fancy car. The red interior literally sold me. At the end of my lease, I decided to make another bad financial decision by actually buying it because after making the lease payment and financing the purchase, I ended up paying way more than what the car is worth. I am never doing that again because I am running this car to the back. I realized that I just got caught up with driving a shiny new car because honestly, that car did not make me any happier or make me feel more successful. It definitely drained money that I could have used to save and invest. I'm going to be driving this car forever until it dies on me.
I'm glad she's going to be driving that car forever because leasing a car is the most expensive way to drive. Yeah, the only way I think it makes sense for anyone to lease is one, if you've got the money. Two, you don't ever have to deal with anything with a car and you always want to be trading up into something new and you don't drive a ton because there are a lot of extra fees that go along with leases. You're limited to your miles, all that. So you're really much better off buying a used car or buying a new car and driving it for a long time and then selling it. You're going to pay a lot less than if you lease it.
Regret about
Here's
buying
my
a car.
biggest regret about buying a car. Way back when I didn't even know what a lease was, I went to a Lexus dealership and I wanted to lease a brand new Lexus. And I decided to put $10,000 down. Why? Because I was expecting that to make my payment lower. What the dealership did was, here, $10,000. That's music to their ears. That's an opportunity for the dealership to make a lot of money on a lease. When leasing a car, there's no amount financed. It's not too many things you can calculate to understand where your money is going. With you leasing a car, they put on the paperwork that MSRP. MSRP stands for Manufacturer's Suggestion Retail Price. Could be any number in the world. So, with that being said, if you are looking to lease a car anytime soon, please put little to no money down. It will not affect your payment much. Ask questions,
Yeah, if you're going to lease a car, don't put money down. It's not the same as buying a car and trying to pay down a portion of what you owe because it doesn't work the same way. They will lower your payment a little bit, but they're pocketing that money. That's profit.
You put thousands down on your car lease, Congrat. You just made the dealer's job easier and killed your own financial flexibility. Let me explain. Most people are taught to put money down to lower their monthly, right? But that's a trap. In a lease, you're renting the car. You're not building equity. So at $3,000 to $5,000 you dropped, it's gone. Worse, if the car gets totaled or stolen the first few months, your money disappears. Insurance will just cover the vehicle's value, not your down payment. While most leases include GAP, it doesn't refund your cash. Here's the math. Let's say you lease a car for $600 a month. If you put down $5,000 and drop it to $450 a month, that's just spreading your money out. You didn't actually save, you prepaid. Here's the smarter move. Keep your cash. Do zero down. Only pay your drive-offs like tax, title, license. Protect yourself from total loss risk. And keep your money earning or available. Dealers love down payments because it makes deals easier to approve. But easier for them doesn't mean better for you. Here's the bottom line. Only broke dealers and lazy salespeople are going to push for big down payments. The pros structure leases with minimal upfronts and maximum leverage, like Comment and follow if you've ever been told to put more down and now realize that's just manipulation.
That's probably the best way of viewing it. A lease is basically you renting a car. Don't do it, folks. Don't lease a car. Also, you probably shouldn't buy a new car. Let somebody else take that depreciation. Get a slightly used car. It's going to be a much better deal. And it's a better way to handle your money.
These are some of the most common mistakes that you should avoid when buying a new car. Number one is focusing on negotiating monthly payments versus the sticker price. A common question that a lot of salesmen might ask you is, how much are you looking to spend a month? This is a huge red flag because almost any monthly payment amount can be reached by tweaking the contract. Instead, you should only focus on the total purchase price of the car and don't tell your salesman what you're trying to make in monthly payments. Number two is expecting to use dealership financing. Financing through a dealership usually comes with higher interest, which means you'll be paying more money throughout the life of the loan. Instead, you'll want to check with your local bank or credit union to see if you can get approved for a better loan. Number three is choosing the closest dealership to your house. Dealerships charge based on zip code, which means the same exact car might cost more or less depending on where that dealership's located. Rather than going to the first dealership just because it's close to home, consider shopping around beforehand to see if you can negotiate a better price. And lastly is being afraid to walk away from a deal. This is a trap that gets a ton of people to impulse buy a car that's out of their price range. And even if it is a great price, you don't need to close the deal the day you walk into the dealership. This will help you stay in control and help you negotiate a better price on that new car.
Yeah, never tell the dealership what you want to pay because they can manipulate that payment however they want. They can extend it out a few years. They can increase the price of the car and extend it out a few years to get to that payment. So ultimately, if you're focused on that payment price, then you lose. You have to negotiate the total out the door price of the car first, and then you can negotiate your terms, but don't focus on that payment.
Hey, I just can't swing a $700 monthly car payment. No worries, pal. I totally get it. Here's what I'm gonna do for you. Because I like you so much, we'll make the monthly payment $500. This guy thinks he's slick. Watch this. Oh, wow, what a generous offer. How do you intend on doing that? We're going to extend the term of your loan from 48 to 72 months, but that's no biggie at all. That is, in fact, a huge biggie. I'm not paying less. I'm just paying for longer. And that allows you to charge more interest on my loan over time, so I'll end up paying more. But forget it. I'm going to the dealership across the street.
Yeah, she's spot on. With those longer payments, not only can they charge you more for the car, but yeah, interest is piling on that whole time too. Don't let them do this to you.
Buying a car is exciting, but it's easy to make mistakes that can cost you time, money, and even your sanity. Don't worry, I got your back. Today, I'm sharing tips to help you avoid the most common car buying mistakes. Let's dive in. Mistake one, not doing your research. Before you even step in a dealership, know what you want, research the make, the model, and a fair price range for your car you're interested in. Websites like Kelley Blue Book or Edmunds are great places to start. Mistake two, focusing only on the monthly payment. Dealers might try to stretch your loan terms to lower your monthly payment, but that could mean paying more in interest over time. Always look at the total cost of the car, not just the monthly number. Mistake number three, skipping the test drive. Don't fall in love with the car before you've driven it. A test drive helps you make sure the car feels right and meets your needs. And while you're at it, get it inspected by a mechanic, especially if it's used. Mistake number four, not getting pre-approved for financing. Walking into a dealership without pre-approval can leave you vulnerable to higher interest rates. Get pre-approved first so you know your budget and can negotiate like a pro.
Yeah, the doing your research piece, I think a lot of people miss. Before you walk onto that lot, I hope that you've taken your time to see if it's even a car, that it's reliable, blah, 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 right? Make sure that it's something that you want to buy to begin with, but you also want to make sure that you know what to expect from a price standpoint. Do that research, know the range that it should be, and then also, if you plan to trade in a car, know what you should be getting from your trade-in and negotiate those separately. His other points about doing a test drive, that kind of thing, definitely. Always want to make sure you do the test drive. And then the other one about a mechanic. I cannot understate this. Like, this is probably the most important thing whenever you buy a car, because if you're like me, I mean, I can listen to an engine and it might sound great, but whenever you take it to a mechanic, they know exactly what to look for. They're going to get under the hood. They're going to dig around. They're going to look at the places where there could be oil leaks or, other fluid leaks. They also know what to look for is to see if something's been manipulated or unnecessarily cleaned. I made the mistake of buying a vehicle without taking it to a mechanic. It was a great deal. So I did the research on the price, and the price was amazing. And I thought I was getting a great deal. Well, guess what? A few weeks after I had it, the check engine light came on. I took it to a mechanic, and my mechanic said, "Ooh, you should sell this quick, man," because he said there was sludge in the engine, and he started telling me all these things that he found wrong with it. He was like, "Whoever sold this to you ripped you off." And since then, I will not buy a car without taking it to a mechanic. And it's actually something, any dealer that's got a problem with that, you need to walk away. But the cool thing is, most of the mechanics that I've taken a car to, it's not expensive, like $150 for them to look at it. But out of the past 3 times I've done that, I think I've only had to pay once. The other 2 mechanics were like, "Hey, bring it back to me for oil changes and that kind of thing. Or if you ever need work on it, bring it back to me." And they did it for free, which was pretty cool. I wouldn't say to expect that, but take it to a good mechanic and they're going to look it over and at least give you that heads up if there's rust or if there's a leak or something like that. I was able, for one of my cars, there was a leak, and I was able to say, "Hey, look, there's a leak in this place, and this gasket's going to need to be swapped out." And they actually took that amount off of the vehicle that my mechanic told me it was going to cost to get that repaired. I mean, he told me, "Hey, it's no big deal. I wouldn't not buy over this, but they'll give you some negotiating leverage," which is always helpful. And essentially for me, I was able to get that repaired for free when I bought the car because they gave me that discount off of the car, and it was already a decent deal. So definitely don't go without taking it to a mechanic. I learned that one the hard way.
My dad sold cars for 43 years. Here are the things you should never say when you're trying to negotiate the best price on a car. Number 1,
don't talk about a monthly payment. That's the last thing you want to talk about. If you give them a payment, you're toast.
when do you bring up the trade-in, Pops? At the beginning or after you've negotiated your car price?
You bring up the trade after you've established the out-the-door price. They're 2 separate transactions. One is the transaction to buy their car, and then the second transaction is for them to buy your car.
If I'm paying cash, am I walking in and saying, "Folks, I'm paying cash today," or am I keeping that secret?
Well, if you want to get service, you certainly don't say, "I'm paying cash today." You keep that a secret, and you just deflect when they say, "How you paying for the vehicle?" Say, "I haven't decided yet. I'll discuss that with the finance manager."
Coming back from the trade-in, am I telling you how much I love the car?
Better not.
Yeah, so those are great negotiating tactics, right? You don't want to tell them you're trading it in until you've got the out the door price. And the reason you do that is because they'll finagle their price along with your trade-in. So they put them both on the same sheet and they can take a little bit from one to give you more on the other. And you don't want to do that. You want to negotiate them completely separate. That way you're getting a good deal on both. And then the point about paying cash, sometimes you can get a better price when you pay cash, but sometimes they want to give you a better price because you're financing and they make money off the financing also. So yeah, great point. You want to hold that until you get in there. Again, you never want to tell them, "Oh, I love the vehicle." Like I've said in other videos, if you can't walk away from a deal, then you're going to lose. All right. You got to be the one who's willing to walk away, because if you don't, then you lose all negotiating power. If you've got to have the deal, then they can tell you whatever they need and you're going to pay it at the end of the day. So be cool with walking away, even if it's something you've been looking for a while, because you want to make sure that you're making gains and you're getting the best price possible.
An engine can be replaced. A transmission can be replaced. But before you buy any used vehicle, take it to a mechanic and get it looked at. Get it looked at by a reputable shop. It might cost you $100. It might save you $5,000. But get it looked at. Here's the biggest mistake people make. You see now, used cars, they're coming from all over the country. You're buying a car in Florida, it might have come from New York. You're buying a car in Virginia here, it might have come from Michigan. You don't know. Dealers are having cars shipped everywhere now because it's now convenient. They buy cars online. I buy cars online, and I have them shipped from all over the country, and every dealer does. So just because you're buying a car that's been in a southern state, a no-salt state, does not mean it's not seen salt in its life. And here's what you got to look for. Now, this is the only example I have right now, but this is a Subaru that has frame rust. That hole right there in the frame will not pass inspection. That is a very weak spot in that frame. Now, that frame technically could be repaired. It wouldn't be easy, it wouldn't be cheap, but it could be repaired. However, I'm not going to spend the money to do it. Nor should you.
That's right. You shouldn't spend the money to get that fixed. That was something that paid off for me by taking vehicles to a mechanic. I took a 4Runner I was looking at that was a decent price, took it to my mechanic, and he crawled up under it and he said, "Don't buy it, dude. It's got frame rust all over it." And he's like, "No matter what, you should just turn this one down." And I thought that was great advice. And I wouldn't have gotten that had I not taken it to a mechanic.
If you aren't doing these things on your test drives, you're making a huge mistake. If you guys don't know, my name's Tommy. Been in the car business most of my adult life, sales, finance, now I negotiate car deals. Enough about me, let's talk about test drives. Seems simple. You get in the car, you drive it on their predetermined route, but so many people don't understand how a good test drive happens. 60% of people have buyer's remorse, which is a huge problem. So these are things that I do every single time. The first thing is, I normally always have my hoodie, and most people or women have a purse, but I have a sling, and these need to have a home. Now, when I get in this car, realistically, my girlfriend is going to be right here, so I need to find a good space. Some people have a cubby right here, but bringing these things to determine where they're going to fit is a huge thing when trying to buy your next car. The next thing you need to do is try more storage space out. Again, this is part of the reasons why we drive vehicles. So, I golf quite a bit. So I would bring my golf clubs. I didn't bring them to the Chicago Auto Show, but we're going to throw these things in. Throw some things that actually make sense. If you have car seats, don't be afraid to actually put these in there and see how it feels to put your baby in and out of this car. These are extremely important. It might seem like a nuisance to the car salesman, but I promise you it's worth it. When you test drive your car, so many salespeople want you to get in the car and just go. But you need to slow down. The second you get in this car, you need to feel around for things. Try to figure out where your heated seats are. Are they intuitive or are they in a whole bunch of settings? Where's your heated steering wheel? Can you find things to actually mess with the infotainment center? You're going to be using this car each and every day. So knowing where things are and making it intuitive is important when making a good buying decision. The next thing we need to figure out is, can you utilize the car to its maximum potential? So this is the new Santa Fe, and we're going to get into the third row. This is an electric seat. Is that important to you, or do you want to get in and out of this quickly? Now, even if you're an adult, we want to see if adults can fit back here. So as I fit, it's a little bit of a squeeze, but as I push this button here, I'm about 5'7". Some people call me 6'3", but I don't know. But I fit super comfortable back here. I can put my arms out. There's a nice vent and a lot of features back here. I like this. And when I say test all the features, I mean test all the features. This is the new Silverado EV truck. And what I learned is this thing doesn't have battery. You can't open the tailgate. To me, that's unacceptable. And you shouldn't have a button. There should be a mechanical mechanism as well. And that would be something that would make me not want to buy the Silverado. And when I talk about checking out the features, I mean check out the infotainment center. For example, some of these modern day cars actually don't have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. That might be a pro, or that could be a con.
I think that's great advice. And some of that I hadn't heard before, like a place for your purse is something I never thought about. When my children were really young, we had to drop off my daughter at Carline. And so my wife was looking at getting an SUV with a third row. And one of the things that was important to us is, would we have to get out to let her out of the third row? And you know what? We took her with us. And so that really paid off, because what we found out was that some vehicles, it was really difficult for her to get in and out. But guess what? The Honda Pilot had a little button that she could click. The seat moved forward. She was able to get out, and then it was easy for her to push it back. And that was when she was in kindergarten. So those kind of things you would never know if you didn't take all that with you. So what are you saying about putting your kids in and out, putting your, I don't know if you're going to take your golf clubs, but making sure that it's big enough to fit those kind of things makes a whole lot of sense. And then just making sure it's got storage for all the stuff that you have now. Because I did get a truck, and the difference from my truck and my SUV was very different in the back seat. Like the things I was able to store under the back seat of my SUV, I couldn't do in my truck. And so that was something that was a little frustrating for me, whereas I didn't know to look into that whenever I was buying that. So anyway, take inventory of those things that are really important to you, and then make sure that you're checking them out. I do think like Apple CarPlay for me, that's a deal breaker. It's got to have Apple CarPlay, because that's how I use my maps and everything. So start thinking about those things if you're in the market. You don't want to make those mistakes and then be one of those 60% of people who have buyer's remorse. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching Make Gains, where we level up our money, mindset, and life. If you enjoyed this kind of content, please like and subscribe. Trying to grow the channel, and that helps tremendously. Also, comment below if I missed anything. Are there things that you think I should have added to the list? What are the mistakes that you've made with buying a car? Until next time, we'll see you in the next one. Let's get it.